All right, it's time for Operation Keep the Chickens Out of the Garden. As you've seen in a previous video or two, I'm pretty sure we've mentioned it, the chickens are becoming a menace. And that's mostly due to human error, not the chicken's fault. They're just doing what a chicken does, but we need a fence on the garden that keeps them out. So far, the only thing we really have been needing to worry about in the garden is our garlic. Everything else in here is kind of an annoying perennials, or we've got tons of mint, the asparagus is in here, that sort of thing, but you know, chickens aren't really bothering that. The rest of it is still to be tilled, and to be honest, them being in here is not such a bad thing, working in this rabbit manure and such. But we are to that time where we want to make sure they can't get in here. So, on the list for today, a gate. Right now we have a temporary gate. Sort of works, sort of doesn't. It's a deterrent, but it's kind of annoying, as Chris has said numerous times now, because you have to kind of lift it out of the way. So we want a proper gate. Over there, also need a gate. Now that gate will eventually be going into a chicken coop, or a chicken run that's there, and there will be wire running from the edge of the barn, garden shed to that post where Chris is just walking in. But the big main project to start with here is this jungle mess that we've kind of makeshift put wire around and things like that to keep the sheep from being able to come in the garden. But unfortunately the chickens just go right over this. Enough of this videoing business. We're going to get started and we'll come back when we've got it all cleaned out so that you can see what we're working with, and then hopefully there will be a proper fence here by the end of the day. And if we happen to get to a bonus of gates, that would be fantastic as well. On a little side note, just before I hang up on you guys, it's not really hanging up, but if you look in there, look at that parsnip growing amongst my asparagus. We're going to come back later this week and harvest that, so stay tuned for that video. As we're doing what we need to do to get ready for garden season, here's our one group of chickens, and boy, they're working this pile, which is good because it needs to be turned over. I don't think we'll be using much from this year, but this is good because if they're in here, they're not in our garden. Speaking of plans for the garden, as it always seems to go for many projects around the farm, one thing has escalated into another and potentially a little bit bigger project. The nice thing about this is, right along this fence here used to be a whole bunch of old cedar rails piled and garbage. As you can see, Chris is pulling at it. This is going to become our squash bed, but slowly turn you. We managed to score out of there a whole bunch of old cedar rails that we're going to use for garden edging. We've got tons of paths we want to make around the yard, through the gardens, little blueberry beds, little flower beds. So these are going to come in really handy for all those sorts of little edging things, and we won't have to buy anything. So salvaging scrap, once again, that we're finding around the farm. This is the stretch of fence here from the little chicken coop to this corner that we were going to build. We thought, simple, quick, easy job. Put a post in the middle, good to go. Of course, nothing ever goes that way. Positive is we have a lot of this nice 6x6 inch mesh that we can use for in the garden, which is great. More salvaging. But let's see if I can document this. This is our dilemma. Oh! So, we don't really have a sturdy post here. So the new plan is we're going to replace those two posts with one single big post. So we have to temporarily put up a fence from that post to right behind me to keep the pigs in their pen while we work on this corner and get it sorted out. So, as always, something that was supposed to be kind of quick and easy won't be. It's becoming a day-long project, but it will be a great project to get done because, as you just saw when I pushed that post, there really wasn't much holding the pigs in this pen, and this will be moving to be a winter sheep pen again next year after garden season's done. So we're going to get this done now. Again, it will keep the chickens out of the garden, keep the pigs in their pen for now, and it may be all we get to today, but that's all right, isn't it?
Yes.
How fake does that sound?
It'd be nice to get to more, but realistically, we'll see.
Yeah, let's aim small, and maybe we'll end up with big.
So, how are you feeling?
Well, story of our lives. Not as much done as we'd hoped, but really, really love how the fence looks. And we've now made a decision to add more work to our plate and make the whole garden fence look like this, because I think it looks really, really nice.
That won't be very hard, though.
No, but it's also not a priority. That could be something we work on over the summer, because there is chicken-proof fencing all around the garden. But I think it looks really pretty with the rails. So, let's show them.
Well, there it is. Some chicken exclusion fencing. This was something on the agenda
since last year?
Since last year. We never really got to it. But so now has a 4-foot fence. And you'll see basically piddly little section. It was only 21 feet long. But it wasn't just that section we had to do. We also, well, it probably doesn't look like anything. We've finished up this fence. We do have to replace one rail. But this was a fence that was already here. But of course, all it was the 3 rails. So we've got a cattle panel on each of the inside sections that go across here. We've put a new corner post. This post lines up with the edge of the building. Yeah. So eventually, might be a while, we're going to do a new fence and take this one out because it's not in there very well.
No, and doesn't have the proper wire on that we'd like it to have. So it'll eventually be replaced with a new one. But again, not priority. This will work for what it needs to be right now.
The pigs are
checking it all out, yeah. Well, we moved a bunch. There was an old tarp under there, so I bet you they're finding all sorts of fun stuff now that we've moved the tarp. But now that we've done that, I look at this garden and go, gosh, how are we ever going to grow anything in here? So I suppose that's going to be our next challenge too.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a jungle of grass and mint and parsnip and... Boy.
We'll get it sorted. We still have a little bit of time.
Considering the parts that we did last year were looking the same, and this year they look pretty great, I think...
we can get it sorted.
Yeah. Just a whole lot of elbow grease that we got to keep going with.
But we can at least get stuff in here, and once we get the gates done, the chickens can't get it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to go do some other stuff and then come back to doing chores.